Hi everyone, so this video is actually the end of a live stream that I did, but I did a baby card and I figured that I'd actually do it as a separate tutorial. I'd edit it and do it as a separate tutorial. So that is what you've got today. So let's get into it. Right, so I've got a 5 by 12 piece of card and I'm going to score it in half at 6 inches. So I've got a 5 by 6 card blank, essentially top folding. Then what I'm going to do is, I think, let's have a look. I think I'll probably just alter this bit here. So that was 2 inches. So I reckon if we make that 1.5, what was that? Yeah. Okay, so if we go, and that was 2, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think we need to keep the shoulders at 2. So from the crease line, I'm going to come down. Can I get away with? I can get away with 1.5. Okay, I'm going to come down from the crease line 1.5 inches, and the same on this side. So from the crease line down 1.5 inches, and I'm just going to draw a rough line, and I'm just going to draw it 1 inch in. So I'm going to go from that edge in 1 inch and stop. And the same here, in 1 inch and stop, like that. Then at the bottom, I'm going to find halfway, so 2.5 inches. And I'm going to do 1.5 either, sorry, 1.5 in total. So 3/4 of an inch either side. So 1, 2, 3/4. So one little mark at 1 3/4, and one mark at 3 1/4. So that should mean, yeah, we've got 1.5 in the middle. So that's fine. Then up the sides, I'm also going to measure 1.5 and make a mark. And up this side, I'm going to measure 1.5 and make a mark. And then I'm just going to find a circle die that kind of fits. So you need something that's a little bit bigger than what you're actually going to need. Before we do that, let us cut out the sides, because that's going to help me with the die. So what we're going to do is we're going to, with it folded, we're going to cut from the end of that line to where you have your mark on the side. So I'm just going to take a Stanley knife and ruler, and we're going to go from the end of that line to where your mark is. Now you're going through double amounts of card, so you might need to go over it 2 or 3 times just to make sure you're going through all the thicknesses. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So from the end of that line to that mark on the side, like that. Just make sure your card doesn't move. Go through both thicknesses again. There we go. I've missed my mark slightly, but it's not going to matter. So that's like that. And then we just need to cut down here and cut those 2 triangles out. So I'm going to cut along here till I reach the top of that line there, and then across there like that. There we go. So that's your underarm bit done. So if you wanted to do like a dress, then this is kind of more where you're heading. Obviously you don't want it to do that, but you know, you could style it out. So now I need to get my dies out. I did try with a punch, but because you've got 2 thicknesses of card, I found that using a punch, it just wasn't going through it, because this is quite thick pearlized card, so it really wasn't having any of it. So I'm going to get out my nesting circles. So here's my nesting circles, and I think I went for something around about, was that the one? Oh no, I think it was the next one up, this one. So it's quite a large circle, larger than you would think you would need. Is it this one? Yeah. So this was the die I used. This circle is it's about 3 3/4 across. So it's quite a large circle, really. And so what I did was I just lined this up so that this where it's going, you know, where it's circling round, it cuts through both of those points, and obviously you want to do it with it shut, and then you just run it through your die cutting machine. Now if you've got I'm using an A5 one, and it did work with the A5 one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a bit of tape because I don't want it to move. I'm just going to make sure I've definitely got that in the right place, back there. Sticking it so it sticks onto this piece, not that piece. It's going to have to go in at an angle because I don't think it's going to fit otherwise. No. In fact, I think what I did was I did it like this. So I put it in like that. That is dangling off, but you can get it through enough, stop there and go back again. And then, I mean, if you've got an A4, then you can just put it on an A4, it's fine. There we go. So that's one side done. So let's take this one. And we're going to again make sure it cuts through there and through there like that. And you want to get it as even as you can. So that was a 3 3/4 inch across circle. So that's really that's quite a big circle. Then for the neckline, I used, I think it's that one. Yeah, I used this one. So this is a almost 2 inch, 1 7/8 roughly. No, a bit bigger than that. Yeah, almost 2 inches across circle. So what I did, just to make sure I definitely get it central, I put my ruler on, found out where the 2.5 is, make a little mark, because on these dies they've got little nicks every quarter, like, so that's a quarter, there's a nick, quarter there, etc. So that is really helpful for this sort of thing, because it just means that you can work out where your half inch, not your half inch, your halfway is. So I'm going to put that on, work out how far down I want it to go, probably about there, and then I'm just lining up my little halfway nick with that halfway mark, so I know that that is going to be central. And then just eyeing it just to make sure it's kind of even either side. Glue that into position, and then we're going to run that through the die cutting machine. Now when it comes to decorating, if you've got a electronic, you know, scan and cut, or a Cricut, or whatever, Silhouette or whatever, and you can work out your own templates, that would be a lot easier. But I did it all by hand. You know me, I like to make things difficult for myself. So there we go. So that's that. Let's just take that up there like that. So there's your template. So he's not as long in the body as the other one, but he looks all right. It still looks like a baby grow. So next we need to work out the layers. So for the layers, let me grab some papers. So what I did was I took the pattern paper, turn it over, and then all I did was I literally just drew round it. And then all I did was just come in a little bit and cut it out. So I'm drawing round my template, which saves you having to work out measuring it all over again. And then what I'm going to do is take my ruler, and then I'm just going to come in like 1/4 inch and just draw around everything. And what I did when I did it, because I did top and bottom, I did exactly this, but I just did like the top section, left a little bit of a gap, and then did the bottom section. So made it quite easy. And this is the very non-technical way of doing it, but obviously if you haven't got access to fancy equipment that can do it for you, then this is the way forward. And then what I did was I just freehand, and I could use a die I suppose, but I just freehand kind of sketched, trying to keep an even distance away. And then you can either cut around with scissors, or I'm going to do it with a Stanley knife, just because I want my lines to be nice and straight. And then we just need to cut round our circular bits. Now you could die cut it again if you want to. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick this straight on. Now, hopefully, oh, that's not too bad. That is not too bad. For a freehand cut, the neckline's about the only thing that's not quite right. Here, could do with just a tiny smidge off it. Right, let's stick that down. So there we go, that's pretty, I'm quite impressed with that. So with this one I added a little trim on it and I did a safety pin. I don't know what I could add on that really. I'm going to put that in the middle again there, I think. So it's got a little bit of standing up ever so slightly, but that will still go through UK Post, I'm pretty sure. Obviously I'll find out once it's dried, but I reckon it'll work. So there we go, so that is that one. Oh, and the other thing I did with this one is I actually rounded the corners, but on this one I haven't. So on this one I actually rounded the shoulders, but on this one I didn't. And I don't mind it not rounded. See, on this one it didn't look right, but I think because you've got quite a deep base there, whereas this is slightly thinner. So maybe the 6x6 is actually better for this type of card. But yeah, so that's how I did it. So there we go.